Hello, and welcome to today's video. And today is day 3 of AR Foundation. And today we will be continuing our quest of learning AR Foundation on our own. Okay, so let's get started and let me share my screen. There are a few things that I want you to do just step by step as I do, and that is why I haven't even opened up Unity or anything till now, right? So let me first of all increase the size of my video so you can see me better. Position this here, and yes, we are good to go. So now click on Unity Hub and open Unity Hub. Okay. Most probably you will be seeing these three projects and any more projects that you have created, but these are the projects created by us during this very course. The first Unity project, the AR Foundation project, the ARF project that we have created, and the AR Foundation samples project that we downloaded from GitHub, right? So as of now, in this ARF project, we just have our own very basic scene that we used to create things from zero, where we imported all the packages and everything from our end, and we successfully built the app as well. So this project was just to show you how you can create your very own project with AR capabilities, with AR Foundation from ground zero. But now, as of now, we are just exploring AR Foundation. We're trying to learn about AR Foundation. So it might be handy to work with AR Foundation samples itself. So one thing what you can do is keep working in this ARF project and keep this project also open, AR Foundation samples project. So that means two instances of Unity will be running, which might not be the best case scenario because Unity is a pretty computationally heavy software, and it might slow down your computer. So that is why what I'm doing right now is I'll be taking whatever we have created in ARF project and we'll be importing it in our AR Foundation samples scene so that we can be in AR Foundation samples project, and there we can explore other projects, other samples as well as create our own from the ground zero as well, right? So what is the best way to do that? So best way to do that would be you can maybe open AR Foundation samples here. Okay, let's click on AR Foundation samples 4.2 and it shall open up the Unity project. Okay, and there in Unity, in this AR Foundation samples, we won't be having our own scenes or anything because we haven't created any. We just have the samples here, right? Okay, so let's see. So here we have scenes, XR, materials, meshes. This is all a part of AR Foundation samples. We do not have any of our own stuff, right? But we want our own stuff, the ones that we created in the ARF project, in this project, right? So how can we do that? First of all, let's click here and open the destination, reveal in Finder or open in Explorer. So this will open up the location of ARF project. Okay. So here is our project. Okay. So here is our project, which is located under Unity projects, the folder that we created initially, or maybe it could be located for you anywhere, wherever you created the project. The aim is to go to the ARF project. Now you have to go inside it, and there you would see multiple folders. Again, you have to click on assets folder, go inside the assets folder. And now what you have to do is just copy this my project folder, which contains your scene, your script, your material, your resource and whatnot. You have to take this very folder, okay, click on it, drag and drop it, drag and drop it into the assets folder of AR Foundation sample scene. Okay. So what this will do is this will get all the things, all the component, all the folders files under this project will be copied in the assets of this AR Foundation sample scene. And now as a result, all your things that you have done in ARF project should be here. Your scene should be here, your script should be here, and your materials or any prefab or whatnot everything should be here. So let's see, let's click on the scene just to make sure that it's good enough. And let's see, that the scripts are perfectly there or not, the components are as they should be or not, right? So controller script, air session, air prefab, we have everything set up, right? Just to make sure you can build it once and check it, right? To make sure that we have successfully imported it. But yes, I'm telling you this is successfully imported as I have built it as well and run it up, right? So now why did we do this? Okay, first of all, let's make this 00 underscore my project. This means this will be always on the top and we can easily identify it. We have done so that we remain in the AR Foundation sample scene, samples project, and we have our own stuff as well as the samples. Because in today in day 3 of AR Foundation, we will be going through a few more scenes and trying to implement a few more AR experiences in our very basic AR scene, right? So you got my point. If we don't have to, if we don't use this very way, then what we would have to do is we would have to open two instances of Unity. One is AR Foundation samples, which will be running this project Unity, and another Unity project which will be our own project, which can be really computationally heavy, right? So as of now we are learning, so this is a good approach of creating your own things here itself, and then taking a look at the scenes and whatnot, and try to learn from them, then implement it, build your scenes, and see what happens. Okay, so now let's do a recap of what we did in this very custom scene, and let's take a look at the our own custom place on plane script as well. So as to make sure that all of us are on the same page and we have understood what we did last time in yesterday's class and how things are working. Okay, so there may be multiple classes open. I am just closing them, each and every one of them, and let this class only remain here. Okay, right. So first of all, let's take a overall look at the Unity editor. So here we have a direction light. Okay, we have a AR session. All right, we have AR session origin, in which we have added AR plane manager, which takes care of the planes, finding the planes and showcasing of the planes, visualizing of the planes, right? Then we have a raycaster, which helps us to raycast. After that, we have created a script. We have created our own game object known as controller, and we have created a custom component, custom script. Okay, scripts are also components. So we have created a custom component which is custom place on plane. And if we go inside it, what do we have here is basically if we go to the function start, awake, and update. So in start, we're doing nothing. In awake, we are just setting the reference of the AR Raycast manager, which we are getting from the which we are doing. We are taking into consideration this AR session origin, which is a game object which we have provided, whose link or reference we have provided in the editor itself. Then we are saying from this game object, find me the component, get me the component whose type is AR Raycast manager. Okay, and assign the reference to this very variable. Now we can use this very variable to perform any functions of this AR Raycast manager. In update, what we are saying is we are saying that proceed only if we have touch input, right? Because it says input.touch count is greater than 0. Then we say touch is equal to, we have created a variable touch above, right? A touch type variable, touch, and a vector to touch position. So we are saying get the very first touch and set it to touch, input.get touch 0 and set this to touch, then get its position, touch.position, and set it to touch position. Now in the next phase, we are saying raycast. Okay, we are saying raycast. So we are using this AR Raycast manager and one of its function known as raycast, where we can provide the screen position, the list where we want to output all the hits wherever we are hitting, and this is the type of trackable, that is the plane or whatever we want to hit. And then we are saying whenever we hit, okay, maybe there are multiple hits, so just give me the first ever hit and give me its pose. Pose means position as well as rotation. Then we say if this spawned object is null, we created a empty game object and we are saying if this is null, that means there is no AR prefab created till now, then create a prefab, instantiate AR prefab at this very position, the position of hit pose, and this very rotation. Else, if it has been already created, then do what? Then simply change the position of this very game object to the hit pose that position. That means wherever the raycast hit the plane. So this is simply what we did, right? And we ran this as well, and this worked pretty well. And our cube or our capsule or whatever AR prefab we have used, for instance, we have used a capsule, right? This was absolutely working fine, and it was changing its position as soon as we did. right? So now this was a recap of yesterday's session. So now what we will be doing is, the capsule looks too boring, right? Let's add a few more things. Okay. So I thought of adding a few, a few assets using the asset manager, which we already know. We know how to use this asset manager, this asset store, right? Let's click on search online, and it should take us to the asset store. And if we should be already logged in, if I'm not wrong. But if we are not, we can log it. Yep, we are already logged in. So let's go to 3D assets, and you can take whatever you want to, but I would take some toon type of things. Toon means, not really high poly, cartoon looking, right? And here we can say the price could be free assets. Yep, that works pretty well for us for this very course at least. And here we have a food package. Maybe we can use this one. Or what else do we have? We have a simple nature pack. We have cars. We have trees. I'm pretty fond of trees. I was initially thinking of placing some trees in our environment. What else do we have? Let's take a look. So you can take any 3D asset, okay, maybe which has three or four types of things, maybe three or four types of cars, three or four types of buildings, three or four types of maybe some trees. So I believe we shall go ahead with the trees, or maybe this is a house pack. This has three or four types of houses. Hmm? So let's have a look at those things. So these are food pack. This also has three or four types of foods. This is tree pack. So this has, I guess, four types of trees. And this is house pack. So this has multiple types of houses, right? So let's import both of these and let's see how things work. Okay, open in Unity. So first one is the tree one. So I will import this in Unity. Let it load. As of now, this is refreshing its assets. So here we have free trees. Okay, and let's say download, and this shall be added to our assets now in the project view. Let us check. So if we go to assets, we have something new. Okay. As of now, we just downloaded it. We need to import it as well. Yeah, this will pop up, right? Until and unless this pop up, there is nothing being imported. So this will be stored in Dart RTCN folder in our assets. So let's import it and then let's see. So we have a folder, Dart RTCN, okay, and inside it, if we go, we have free trees and whatnot. What we can do is we can create another folder named asset store, and we can take all the assets, whatever we will be downloading from the asset store. We will keep all the assets here so that it's easier for us to find it. So here also this has prefabs, and if I position my video here, you'll be able to see the prefabs. So here is a tree. This is a oak. This is an oak tree. Nice. This is a palm tree, and this is a poplar tree. So we have four types of trees. For those who are looking forward to use the house, don't be disheartened. We'll be using the house as well. Let's add this to my assets as well. Accept it. And it will tell us again to open it in Unity, I believe. Yep. Open in Unity, and here again it will be shown. We will have to download it once and then import it. Let's click on download. It shall take some time. Let's click on import. It shall again show us. So this will be house pack. Its name will be house pack, and there will be multiple models. Okay, let's import them. So most of the assets you will see will have a prefab folder where they would have already set up the things, the material, the size, the texture, the rotation, everything perfectly, and you can directly use those prefab itself. So that is the power of prefab. Let's go to assets, and here we have a house pack again. Let's drag and drop into my project and then put this into asset store. Let's go in house pack again. I told you, so we have a prefab. So now here we have house one. This looks good. Here we have house two. Here we have house three. Okay. And here we have house four. So we have multiple types of houses. Okay. So let's see how can we use these and what's my plan for using these in our AR experience. So my plan is, as of now, we're just placing out simple capsules, right? So let's make things interesting and let's place some, some trees maybe, some houses maybe. So how can we do that? So let me give you an overall idea. This is where scripting will play a role. So as of now, we have a game object AR prefab itself. So it is just one object, and we are saying whenever you are, first of all, we are saying if one of them is placed, then just change its position. This is not what we want. We want whenever there is a raycast hit, we want to create a new prefab. Okay. So first of all, this line will be removed because we don't want to change the position. Okay. And this will also be removed. So here what we are saying is, we're saying spawn object now every time whenever we hit, this would place a capsule or whatever AR prefab as of now we have, right? Because whenever we hit, we get the hit pose, we say instantiate, right? This is how it shall work. If you have any queries, if you have any doubts, you can build it and play it. Okay, I'm pretty sure this will what happens. So what I'll do is I want to instantiate randomly any object. Maybe I have 5 objects and I want it to randomly instantiate any one of them. So what I can do is, first of all, I'll create an array. As soon as I put these square bracket, this means this is a public game object array, an array of type game objects, and its name is AR prefabs. Okay. Now as soon as I save this, let me go to editor, and there you would see what I mean by that. So as soon as we go to controller, now okay, this is not updated because this is showing us some error. So here is the error. This is, let's double click on it, and here it says. So okay, why this is saying so? Okay, let's comment it as of now. Okay, let's save it. This was giving an error because I changed the name of this AR prefab from AR prefab to AR prefabs, and I created an array, right? So here this line didn't make any sense when it was written AR prefabs, right? Because that is not how you access an error. So as of now, just to remove that error, we have commented that line. We'll take a look at that later. So now we have no errors, bam. And let's go to controller. Here now you see, earlier there was just simply like this, air prefab was written, and there was a place to place your prefab or game object. But now we have something known as this. The list is empty. And now if we say here that we have 5 objects, but we create 5 elements out of it, right? Whose index will be starting from 0. So it's starting from 0, so it will be 0 to 4. So if you want the 5th element, so we'll say get the 4th item from like index 4, item on index 4 from this AR prefabs, right? So now what we can do here is we can place all the different game objects that we want to, right? So let's go to asset. Let's go to trees itself as of now. Trees, prefabs, and here we have 4 prefabs. So either first of all, let's lock this here so that this doesn't go anywhere. Now we can click on any one of them, but still this inspector will stay here. So either we can do one by one, okay, or if I'm not wrong, we can select all of these and put it here. Okay. So let's click on 0, and what? Okay, let's click on 4 itself. So we have 4 stuff, right? Let's place them here. 1. Then let's place oak tree. 2. Let's place palm tree, poplar tree. right? So now this is an array with 4 game objects. Okay, and now what we'll do is, although we have placed them here, but what we haven't checked is what's their size, right? Because if you remember, uh, just to check if the size is right or not, let's bring all of them in our game. Okay, and again here you will see the size. You won't get an idea of how big the size is. So what you can do is, you can simply, you know what you can do is, you can simply go to my project and go to your prefabs, and the air prefab that you were using, the capsule or whatever, right? You can put it here, and now see the difference in the size, how big things are, right? So because this was 0 point scale, okay, let's unlock this. Scale was 0.05 for this capsule, because Unity works in terms of meters, and 1 unit is equal to 1 meter, right? So we have made the capsule so small. Okay, so let's select all of those. Let's go to the scale tool and let's try to scale them until they become somewhere near the size of the capsule. Okay, so capsule was pretty small, right, when it was coming in our environment. We can have a bit bigger trees, right, because trees are obviously a bit bigger. So yeah, I guess we can have 0.12 if I'm not wrong. Maybe 0.1. Okay, let's keep them 0.1. This looks much better, right? And now we can delete this prefab, and now we can create. These are again, now these three prefabs were not the same height, right? Now let's change their position to 0, 0, and like all of them should be 0, 0, 0, right? Yep. And now we can create prefabs out of them. Select them all and drag them in our 0.03 prefabs under my projects. This will say original prefab or prefab variants. Why this is asking this? Because these things are already prefabs, and now we are creating, like, now again we're dragging and dropping and saying create prefab out of them. What does this mean? So here it is asking, do you want them to create original prefab or prefab variants? So original prefab is like, this prefab will be independent of everything, and this is the very own prefab. If we say prefab variants, then this would mean is that this in itself is a prefab, but this is a variant of the previous prefab. Previous prefab is, these were already prefabs. So whatever changes that we do to the main prefabs, those changes will be reflected on the prefab variants, right? But as of now, if you, it's confusing, don't go deeper into it. Just get the original prefabs. Just click on original prefab, because we don't want these to be related to the previous prefabs, whatever they are. Okay, let's click on original prefabs, and now we can delete them. And in a controller, these are the ones we want, right? Why? Because now their size is properly set. Otherwise, the size of the tree would be a real life tree, and that would be really big, maybe. So now things are set properly. So now we have added 4 game objects in the array. Let's go back to the script and see. It's okay, we've added 4 objects. Now how to create one of them, or like which one should we create? So again, come to this line and just remove the comment. Now it will give you an error. Now you would say, okay, this is AR prefab, and that was, we have changed the name AR prefab, so let's make it AR prefab, then it should change. No, here we need to give it an object. So for example, an array is like this, 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is array. So if you want to get the array, okay, and maybe this is array name, and this is the array. For example, I'm just giving an example of the representation of array. Okay, so this is how maybe an array is saved, right? And now if you want to access this element, for example, so what you have to do is, you have to write array name, and then do square brackets and then say which element do you want. For example, this is A, this is E, this is T, and this is V. So now if you want T, so that this is the third element? No, in an array, the index starts from 0. So 0, 1, 2. So this is the second element. So if you say this AR name square brackets 2, this will basically output T. Okay. So this is the 0th element. This is the first element, like for index, right? This is second index and this is third index. So this is how you access things from array. Okay. So now what you want to say here is, if you say AR prefab square bracket 0, now it won't give us any error. So it is saying that get the first element, like the 0th element on the 0th index. That is the first element from this array. Okay. But now if you see this update code, what will happen is, whenever we will click, whenever there is a ray casting, whenever there is a hit, it will always, wherever we hit the ray, it was always instantiate this, uh, the first element, the first element, the first element. That's not what we want. We want to randomly choose any one of them and then, generate it. What do you say, right? So we want it to choose randomly. Okay. So let's find out how to, choose randomly from a range. Random, choose randomly from, or choose randomly in Unity. Let's write that. Let's see what comes. So it says random selection. This something here, random range. There is also random. We know the scripting is really helpful to us. Okay, let's go through them. So this says random selection. No, what we are concerned about was maybe the Unity scripting random range. Okay, so Unity has a function known as random. It has a class and then it has a function known as range. So what it does is returns a random float within minimum inclusive, maximum inclusive range. Okay, if is greater than max, then the number is automatically swapped. Important, both lower and upper are inclusive. Okay. So basically, we can get a random float using this random range. We can get a random float, maybe any number 10.1, 10.2, 10.3. But what we are looking forward to here is random integers, right? So again, let's see here random. Okay. So again, let's do some more googling, right? Select random integer from a given range in Unity, right? So we have a few answers here. How to use random with example, random number in 3D. How can I generate within specific numbers? Let's open up a lot of them and let's see. Okay, so random int value. I'm making a game, aren't we all? And I need a random value. I know how to do this with random.range, but for my game, I need an int type, not float. We also need the int type. Why? Because because that random number, like whatever we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that will be the index to get that element on the given index in that array. It cannot be 2.5 because 2.5 is no index in an array, right? Is there a way to go around this? And here is the answer. Random range returns an int if you use it with integers. Okay. So it says if you're using it with floats, then it will give you a float. But if you're using it with integer, this shall give you, output an integer. Okay, let's try that. So here, what do we want is, so let's create an int here, int array selected array index. For example, this is 0. Okay. So now we can use this value, this int here, and whatever the value of this will be. So like it can be anything 10, 20, 30, 40. This will always give us a int, whatever we are setting it here. And then we can get that very element on the this very index, right? So now here we want to do some magic. So random dot range, and here we want to say we want it to be from 0, because minimum can be 0 and maximum can be 4. Yes, that is right. But that is right till now, where we have 4 elements. What if later on we add 5 more elements? Then the maximum would be, 10 or 9 or whatever. So will we be changing again and again? Instead of that, let's write a bug-free code. So what we can say here is, we can simply say the minimum is 0 and the maximum is the length. So length minus 1. So what this means is, okay, let me explain this. So AR prefabs, let me explain you. Let's do some debugging. Debug.log, and let's get array length. What does length of an array give us? So we will be saying AR prefab.length. Let's see what it gives us. Okay, and then you will understand the meaning why I'm doing this. Okay, let's comment this as well. So now what we're saying is, there's like, this is an array, right? AR prefabs. So arrays have a few functions, utility functions which we can use. So this is a length function. This gives you the total number of elements, in the array. Okay. So for example, as of now, uh, so we have added this debug statement in a start function. So as soon as we play it, it shall give us the number of elements, which are 0, 1, 2, 3. No, those are indexes 0. But how many elements are there? So there are 4 elements. So it should print out 4. Let's click on start and let's see. Let's click on play and let's see. So debugs, whatever, we're not concerned about those warnings. But what we are concerned is about this AR length 4. Let's stop this. Again, let's go here and prefabs and make this 10. Okay. So for example, there are 10 elements. This has just copied the last element again and again. Again, let's hit on play, and let's see what is the length. What does the length comes out to be? Now it comes out to be 10. So this means array length is a function which gives us how many total elements are there. Okay. Now it should come out to be 7. Right? Yep. So the length function of the array gives us a number that tells us how many elements are there in the array. Okay. But we know the indexing starts from 0. So it will always end up till the total number of elements minus 1. For example, if it has 7 elements, this array has totally 7 elements, then the last index would be 7 minus 1, 6. As you can see, 7 minus 1, 6 is the last index. Why? Because the index is starting from 0. Again, if I say 5 is the total length of array, that means the total number of elements in an array are 10. Then what would be the last index? Last index would be total number of elements minus 1. Total number of elements 5 minus 1 gives us 4. You would see the last element is 4. Why is that so? This is because of the very reason that the index counting starts from 0 and not from 1, right? So again, let's keep this 4. So the last element is 3. Now again, let's go to our code. So we were writing here that we want a random range. We want a random range from 0. And then we are saying the minimum can be 0 and the maximum can be AR prefab.length minus 1. That is, if the total number of elements in the array are 5, then minus 1, then 4. Then this range, the number that we should get, the random number should be picked up from 0 to 4. Or if there are 10 elements in this array, then it should be picked up from 0 to 9. And this will pick up a random number, and this will set this random number in this selected array index. And then we are using this very index here, this int here. So it will say instantiate AR prefab ka this वाला index पे जो भी element है, whatever element is there on this element, this index, instantiate that element. Now, if you see carefully, we have randomized it. So now every time we click, we don't know which element of the array will be spawned in AR. Why? Because this is randomly chosen here from 0 to AR length, game object length minus 1. So it could be anything. If there are 5 elements, this number would be 4. So this random integer, this random range will output any number from 0 to 4. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 4, it could be 0 as well, right? If you want to see this in action, we can do that, and we can debug. See, let's see what happens now. Okay, so debugging is a debug.log is really important, and you can do a lot of things. You can test a lot of things. Okay, what will happen? So I'm putting everything here in front of you. So I'm debugging the array length, sorry, and then I am also debugging array length minus 1. What that value is. So it is giving us an error. Now it's shown. Why? Because this was plus and then minus, right? Plus is used for concatenation, it is string concatenation. But minus we want to do is an integer minus, right? That is why we put this in bracket. And now random number. Okay. So this will first of all, print the length of the array. Then this will print length minus 1. So which will be the last, the maximum value here from this for this random dot range. And then this will print out a random number. Okay, let's see. And this all will happen as soon as we click start. So as of now, let's take an example of array size to be 10. Okay, let's see. Before running the code, it is always great to just see the code and see what will happen. So let's see. As soon as we start, this will be printed array length, and in front of it, the length of an array will be printed, which is the total elements, which is 10 as of now. Then array length minus 1 would be printed, which is 10 minus 1, which is 9. Then a random number will be printed. We don't know what random number will it be because it will be automatically taking a random number. But let's guess it. Maybe 4. Let's see. Let's click on start. Let's wait a second. Let's see what happens. So here what happened is, first of all, it printed array length 10 because we have 10. Array length minus 1, which is the last possible index, is 9. It is 9 because things start from 0. Then it is given a random number from 0 to 9. So it has given us 8. Will it give 8 every time? No. Do we know what will it give? No, because it will give us randomly. Let's click and play again. Let's see what happens. Last time we got a random number 8. For the same values for the 10 element array, let's see what we get this time. We have got this random number 1, right? Let's again click on play. Let's see what happens now. For the same 10 element array, a random number will be generated, and you can click it 1,000 times or 1,000,000 times or a gazillion times. This won't exceed 9 because we have said the random range can be from 0 to 9, inclusive of 0 and 9. But it could be 0, it could be 9. And sometimes a random number will repeat as well because it's randomly generated, right? It doesn't know okay, previously I selected 1, so this time I cannot select 1. It can select anything. Okay. So this is more or less about it. And I'm doing all this so that you guys can understand how things work behind the scenes. So now this selected a 0 random number, right? So now select the controller. Let's set things straight again. 4. There are 4 trees. One last try maybe. So now array length would be 4. Array length minus 1, that is the maximum possible index, would be 4 minus 1, 3. And random number would be, nobody knows what the random number could be. So now it is saying Okay, this has not been updated. Yeah, this is updated now. Length is 4, array length is -1 is 3, and random number is selected is 0. Right? So now let's delete all these debugs because these were just for our understanding. So now we've created a mechanism which will select a random number out of whatever array we have. It will automatically, select a random number from 0 to the maximum index possible, that is array length -1. It will select a random integer to be, more correct. Save the random integer into this selected array index and then we'll pass it here. So whenever we click anywhere, we will be having a random objects instantiated or spawned in our AR experience. Okay, let's save this. Let's build this. So the building process has completed and Unity has spit out an APK which I have already put it on my phone and have tried to run it, and it is running as it should, but I saw an issue, a small issue, and I'm sure that you also experienced that. Okay, so let me show you a recording here which I did on my smartphone. Right, so this is all good. The app starts fine. It starts to know the plane and track the planes, and as soon as we click on it, trees are instantiated. Sometimes different trees are instantiated, randomly because numbers are chosen, but then we see a problem. Okay, as soon as we click, a tree is instantiated. That's good. But if you see, and sometimes you will see there are three trees instantiated on one click. And why is that so? When your click is longer, so here we have two trees that have been instantiated. Okay, I just showcase you here. So here there are two trees. Poplar is also there and the palm tree is also there. Okay, why is this happening? Okay, we'll get to know this very issue. So if you try to drag, not only if you try to drag your touch, right, just like I'm doing there, like touch, like touch on the screen and don't lift up, just move the touch as in when you're still touching the screen, you would see multiple trees instantiated, right? This is creating a forest at a fast scale. Imagine what if we could grow real trees like this, right? So but this is not what we wanted. We just wanted a tree to be instantiated whenever we click, right? But now we are not clicking. We're still clicking, but even if we are dragging it, multiple trees are being instantiated. That's wrong. That's not what we wanted. But that is exactly what we have coded, right? We have not said key only instantiate a tree when you touch it. Do not instantiate any trees when when you are dragging, right? We have said just get the touch. Now the touch is going on, right? This touch is going on. We have not lifted it. That is why it is instantiating trees. So what is a way of doing things here? So now what we will have to do is we'll have to do all these things, recasting and everything, only when we do the touch for the first time, like as soon as the touch is done. Now what do I mean by that? So let me tell you. So there are phases of touch. Okay, phases means there are states of touch. Okay, so now here you can see one is touch phase dot began. A finger touch the screen. As soon as the finger touched the screen, the touch phase moved, as in when the finger is moving. That was happening in our stuff. Then when a touch is stationary, and then when a touch is ended. So we would add a statement or a condition here to do all these things, all this, recasting and getting the touch position and doing the recasting only when the touch began. Okay. So as a result of this, what will happen is, what do you think will happen? So as a result of this will only get the touch position only when the touch began. As soon as clicked on it, only this time it will get the position, and only at this time this will do the recasting, and this tree or anything will be spawned only when the touch started. So this is touch began. As soon as we touched it, bam, for this very frame it will do all these things. Now even if you're not ending the touch by picking a finger, even if you're moving the things, this won't do anything because its phase will be touch phase will be moved. Okay, and if you remove it, then it will be touch phase ended. But as soon as you click on it, this is the only time when it will be touch phase began. Okay, so now this should improve or solve that very problem. Again, save the script, go to build and simply build your things. Make sure the project settings and everything is set. Although you're an air sample scene, then it should already be set. There should be no Vulkan and anything here, and multi-threading should be on. It can be on, and you can put this allowance code to be ticked as well. And then a very important thing is to check the minimum API level, which cannot be lower than 7.0. That is API level 24, Android 7.0, right? Then simply build it, and once you will build it, then you would see I've already built it and I've already tested it on my end. So what will happen is Unity will again spit out something like this, and then what will happen is you would see something like this, okay, where things are just happening only when you click, okay. No tree or nothing is instantiated even if you are dragging your touch, okay. So let's see here. So here, as soon as I touch it, I just get one tree, another tree. As soon as I touch it, another tree, just single tree, no two trees, no multiple trees coming. Also, you would see here that again and again we are getting the same trees, but we have used random. You will be confused, but this is happening because there are only 4 things to choose randomly, right? So it is randomly choosing one of them. So it's obvious that they would be repeating. So now see here, I'm dragging stuff. You can see, but no tree or nothing is being instantiated, right? So this means we have fixed our very error that we were facing earlier, and now we are not facing that. Okay. So the repeating of trees is okay because there are just only 4 trees. What you can do is maybe add more trees or add the houses that we have added, right? Then you would see maybe when there are 10 elements or 20 elements, then you would actually be seeing the randomization. So this we have done. We have taken care of a few things. We have added our own stuff, but still I see here a problem, and that is these multiple planes. Okay, these planes are actually taking away the sense of reality. These planes are making sure that we say, okay, this is AI, right? Because these planes are actually not there. What if these planes are invisible, okay, and still we are able to place the trees? This will increase the realism, right? So let's disable these planes. Okay, let's learn how we can do that. Okay, so this is the best part about these AR foundation samples, that you can go to scenes, okay, and there you would see some plane related scenes. So see plane detection. Here this is feathered plane, plane classification. You should go through them, right? And then we have toggle plane detection. So this has toggle means switch on or off the plane detection. Okay. So here we can go and see the plane detection controller. And here in the script, it has done a lot of things, changing the UI and whatnot. But if you go through it, the only thing that we are concerned about is this function. Set all planes active, and it is giving it bool value that if it is true, then set all planes true active. If it's false, then set all the planes false. Okay. And then what it is doing is it's simply calling it whenever you want to. So we can simply take this very function. Okay. And okay, and we can call it whenever we want to in our own script. So first let's set this up. Let's copy paste it. Let's understand this as well. So here we would need a plane manager. Okay. So this is giving us an error because we need a AR plane manager. Okay. And let's give this variable itself. And in the awake window, we would need to get the plane manager as we got the session, as we got the recast manager. Okay. AR session origin dot get component AR plane manager. Right. Oh my god. My bad. My bad. Right. So now we have access to this AR plane manager. So what this function is doing is it is telling for each. So for each means like it's a it's a it's a type of for loop. So it goes through everything whatever we have in this list. So this AR plane manager dot trackables is basically a list, and it contains all the trackables. Okay, and we are saying go through every one of them. Okay, go through every one of them and set this game object as false. This is so simple. We know that game object dot set active false means it will disable it, right? So this is doing just that, and it is saying to do this whenever we we call this function, and we can call this function. What is the best way? Either we can disable all the planes in the starting itself. Okay. Otherwise, what we can do is we can say, okay, initially show us some planes, show us some planes so that the user is known, okay, there are some planes and whatnot. And as soon as we, select or place our very first model, then disable the planes. Okay. So here what we can say is, we'll say if spawned object is null, that means as of now, we haven't done any recast and we haven't instantiated any object. Okay. If this is null and then we are doing the recasting, then instantiate it. Okay, instantiation has to be done every time, right? So when this is null, just call this. And set all of them to false. So all the planes to false. So for the very first time when you are doing the recasting, it will see, okay, spawned object is null. Yes, then set all the planes false. And after that, we have already the spawned object, something will be created every time. So this will never be null. Okay. So let's do this. And this will set the planes, it will deactivate all the planes. It should at least. Let's see what happens. Okay. So initially what this will do is this will show us the planes, but as soon as we place our first object, then it will disable all the planes. Okay. Also, let's try something different as well. Here in the scenes we saw in plane detection, we had something known as feature feathered planes, right? Let's see what is here. So in this, it has simple plane manager. And it has just changed this feathered plane. Okay. And this is a type of a plane which has a different texture. Okay, so let's use this AR feathered plane also in our scene. Okay, and let's see what difference does it makes. We'll go to our scene in the session origin in the plane manager. Okay, let's scene is not open. Yeah, now it's open. Here we have the recast, we have the plane manager. We are using the default plane, right? Let's use AR feather plane. Let's type plane and it should show us feather plane. Okay, so let's go ahead with the feather plane and let's see the difference. Okay, so now we have saved everything. We have the trees here and everything is set. Now let's simply build our stuff. Let's add it. Let's make sure we have saved the scene. Let's click on build and this will give us again an APK. You can name it custom AR toggle plane scene. You really should spit out an APK and then you can put it in your phone and then it should. So this is my APK that was spit out, right? And then what I can do is, okay, yeah. So then what I can do is, this was my APK. I put it on my phone and this is a recording of the screen recording of my phone, right? So initially you would see, first you would see a different, the plane, right? Earlier it was a default plane and that didn't look that good, right? But then we use this one, the feather plane, and this looks much better. So initially the recording, in the recording you would see that everything, all the planes and everything is being detected. Okay. As soon as you click, so all the planes which have been detected, that would be just vanished, right? And now this experience looks much more immersive and it really looks like you're putting something on your like table or couch, right? As there are no planes and nothing, the only virtual things that are, these are trees, and they are also having some shadows and whatnot, right? So this is more or less like it, and this is how it should work on your end as well. So today we took a look at a lot of different things, right? We first of all enhanced our own AR experience. We used something different than a simple cube or a primitive object or a capsule. We imported few of the assets like trees, and then we added them. We created an experience to spawn them randomly. So we learned about random.range as well. We learned about a bit about arrays and indexing as well. And now we are able to instantiate multiple, randomly trees in our AR experience. And we also learned how to change the plane, the look of the plane, as well as we learned how to disable the planes, right? So that was more or less like it for today's session. I know it has been a bit lengthier, but you learned a lot of things, right? We did everything step by step in this very session, right? So homework for you would be to download such assets and place them in your room, to toggle the Unity planes, right? And see what else you can do to maybe change the planes, different types of planes you can use, right? Change the material of the planes and see what happens. So that was all for today from my side, and I'm looking forward for what you guys make. Make sure to send whatever you build, or post it on LinkedIn or Twitter, wherever, right? And we would be happy to see what you have been learning so far and what you have been able to build. So that's all from my side. See you guys. Bye bye. Enjoy.